careful going down. We don't want no one killing themselves. So if you do come up here, we don't want no running down the steps. You have to walk. That way no one bites the big one. And you don't have to call the ambulance and, call the doctors and have to come visit you, bring in some flowers. I don't want to do that. We want to see you nice and healthy. Amen? Amen. So your grace is enough. More than enough. Now at this time I want to bring up my brother. He's the older one. And then I follow. So he's the oldest. I'm next. And then there's two sisters. I'm sorry they're not here today. They're back in Missouri. Both of them. But I do have my brother here. And he works hard for you, just to let you know just how hard he worked just in this trip. We started in Missouri. Branson is where we live. He drove by himself. I was with him, but I didn't help drive all the way from Missouri to here. And it's about 16 to 17 hours by the time he stops and eats and all that fun stuff. But he works hard. Please put your hands together for my brother Jose Melendez.
Good morning. Whoa, that's really loud. Let's turn that down a little bit. I must have a big mouth. What do you think? Yeah, it's going to be really, really loud. Sorry about that. There we go. I was turning it up for the young lady because she was being a little sneak. But she did great. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm Tony's brother, and when I was your age, I had a really hard time because everybody stared at my brother. And everybody pointed at my brother. And people always said things about my brother. And so my sisters and I took it really personal. So like, we're at a restaurant. We're having a really nice meal. And we're walking out, and this man said something so mean about Tony. And my two sisters and I, we got home, and we're really upset and kind of feeling a little bummed. And Tony notices, and he says to us, I always see that people stare at me. Always. I always see that. And he said, you know what? I don't let that hurt me in here. And I don't let myself stop things that I'm going to do because people are saying bad things about me or because they're staring at me. And if I can overcome that, so can you. And so Tony taught us about what it was like to be tolerant and to try to be understanding, because what sometimes people don't understand is that he's just like everybody else. He just doesn't have arms. And yeah, he does everything with his toes. And you know, when he first started playing the guitar, it was terrible. We used to tell my Mom, can you please tell him to stop? And you know what Mom said to me? Mom said, you don't know what Tony can do with the guitar and God in his life. God can do all things. And so I'm like, oh, okay, Mom, whatever you say. It still sounds awful, though. Can you stop? And he kept playing, and he kept playing. And then you know what happened? It's like he said, you started praying, and then you started hearing the little music come out. And it started sounding pretty good. And then we never imagined that Tony would one day play for the Pope, or that he would play for Mother Teresa. We have met two saints that we got to hug, Pope John Paul II and Mother Teresa. And all because Tony chose to pray with his guitar. So as time goes on, so you guys are in school, right? Right? This is your school? Okay, so Tony went to school too. But Tony went to a special school. And he decided that he wanted to go to regular school. And the school said no because they didn't know how to help Tony and what he needed. And so eventually they had to say yes because all he needed was a piece of the floor, a number 2 pencil between his toes, and that's how he did his work, was on the floor. Okay? So they finally said yes. It's the first day that we get to go to the bus stop together. Well, what do you think happens when all my friends saw Tony? Well, their eyes got about this big, their mouths hit the floor. There was that real quiet feeling like, everybody was staring at us. So luckily my bus gets there. I climb on the bus. I sit in the last seat, and when I look forward, I notice that all the kids are on this side of the bus, some kids over others, trying to see the little boy without arms. And then the bus pulls away, and I'm thinking, why are those all on that side? And when the bus pulls away, I heard all the teasing words that I used to hear, and I just shrunk in my seat because I was embarrassed that that little boy was my brother. And so, a busload of kids, we get to school and they start talking. And then it's lunchtime. I'm just going towards my best friends, and I'm just excited because I'm like, hey, I want to play, blah, blah, blah. And then I hear their conversation, and they were making fun of Tony. And I was like, why do best friends do that? And I was so hurt. And that day when I got home, I marched into my mom's bedroom, and I said, Mom, I don't want a disabled brother anymore. Everybody stares. Everybody makes fun. It's too hard, Mom. I just want a normal brother. Why can't I have one that can throw a Frisbee or catch a ball or do what everybody else does? My mom did. She grabbed me by the shoulders. I thought she was going to be really mad at me, but she wasn't. She simply said, I don't understand either, but I think God is going to take care of everything. And then she hugged me. And when she hugged me, I felt all better. Right up until the point that I turned around and Tony was standing in the doorway. And when our eyes met, I felt the weight of my words. Because I became like all those other kids that ever made fun of Tony. And then he turned and walked away. And when he walked away, I felt really bad. And I went after him to say I'm sorry. And he was coming out of our bedroom, and he had a Frisbee between his chin and shoulder, just like this. And he convinced me to go outside. I got on one end, he got on the other. I took the Frisbee and I just very gently threw it towards him. It came close enough that he could catch it with his chin and shoulder. And right then and there I thought, okay, thanks Tony, we can go in because you don't have to do anything. No, Tony had it between his toes. And without words he said, let me try. And then he flung his foot back. He flung forward, he released, and this thing came flying true and hard right at the bridge of my nose. And I fell on my rear end, and I looked up, and for 1 second, I understood how God looks at us. God doesn't see that we're missing things or that we're hurting. God sees the love that we have, and the incredible things that we can do when we try. In that moment, I realized Tony wasn't the disabled one. I was. Because I was telling him he couldn't in here. So I'm going to ask my brother to come out. He's hiding somewhere. And I know you're thinking, well, that was a really nice story, Jose, but that's probably not true. Well, I'm going to show you right now. So that day, I took the Frisbee. Now, this is kind of a heavier Frisbee, so be careful with this thing. This will probably knock somebody out. So I threw the Frisbee. See, it's heavy. So it's going to take us a moment here. He's got to adjust to the weight. All right, here we go. We might be here a minute. You might want to move back there. You might want to move the kids this way a little bit. I'm serious. He's going to throw the Frisbee back there. This Frisbee's heavy. If it hits somebody, it's going to knock them out.
You guys just run, don't worry.
You guys stay. Don't move. You guys stay where you are. Go back. Just in the back.
All right. Heaven is a narrow way to get there. And today, what I'm going to do is see this little Frisbee here. I'm going to try to get to heaven. We're going to pretend that hoop is the entrance. There's a lot of obstacles. It's a long distance. It's not easy to get to it. So I'm going to try. I might not get to heaven today, but every day I'm going to try. I want you to try. Will you try every day to get to heaven? So what you got to do if you're going to go to heaven? You got to do good. What else you got to do? Be nice. What else? Huh? Thoughtful. You got to pray. You got to go to church. You got to make your bed and mama ask you to. Man, you might go to heaven if you do it every day. Here we go. I'm going to try to get to heaven. I don't know if I'll make it today, but I'm going to try every day to get to heaven. If it comes toward your face, stop!
right, this is the one he's used to throwing.
This is a normal one. This will still hurt. So if it's coming to your face, duck. All right. Here we go. I'm trying to get the head in.
All right, so now you see what Tony can do. Now, what did Tony ask you? Tony asked you something that you guys didn't really respond to. So what happens when you tell yourself that you can't? You can't. Your mind tells you that you can't. So I want you to take those words I can't, and I want you to throw them away. And what are the words that I want you to use? See, you already know them. What are the words? I still can't hear you. All right, and they say if you do it 3 times, you remember. So what are the words?
You already know.
I want you to remember, when you're ready to give up, and you're asked to do something that you think you can't do, I want you to remember Tony Melendez. And I want you to remember what he does and the impossible things that he does. I want you to think about Miss Betty, because Miss Betty is a walking miracle. And she's still here today. And so I want you to think about Miss Betty too. She didn't give up, and she's here today too. So you know what? Just don't give up. And the biggest thing you can do is leave the window open for God in your life. That is what we have done, and we've been to 44 countries. We just came back from Lisbon. The Holy Father, Pope Francis, was up there on the big altar with 10,000 priests.
World Youth Day.
And there were 1.5 million of us praying with him. We went to adoration, we went to Mass. It was an amazing thing to pray with 1.5 million people. So have hope. Enjoy the rest of the program with my brother. God bless you.